displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the parks professor. First hole. The distance and par are at the top of the screen. The tee pad on this hole is aligned due east, in line with Holly Street off to the left. But in fact, this hole plays about 30 degrees south of due east. And I'm going to realize that here momentarily, and I'm getting ready to make a course correction here to go uphill to the basket. In fact, there are no obstacles directly between the tee and the basket. It's just a straight shot and a straight open shot on this hole. There's the view back to the tee. Second hole plays back downhill. You have an option. You can keep your disc low and go through this little gap in the trees that we're going to walk through here. Alternatively, you could use a sweeping left to right disc flight, and that would allow for a higher disc flight. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. We are at Holmes Park. We are on the northeast side of Greenville, South Carolina. We're about 4 or 5 blocks from Bob Jones University. Third hole. Now, the distances I'm giving you here are taken from the tee signs. Honestly, the distance for this hole seems a decent bit low to me. I think this hole's probably closer to 200 feet long. I didn't measure it, but that's what I think, so take that distance with a grain of salt. A couple of other issues on this hole. There is the walking path off to the left there, so you have to check for pedestrians. Also, there's a driveway directly behind the pin here, and that is out of bounds. And so this could be a good hole, but not with those couple of features there. Fourth hole, and this is the longest and hardest hole on the course, and it's also probably my favorite hole. It's moderately uphill. There's a dense cluster of trees here, not too far in front of the tee, and if you got a bad ricochet off of one of those tees, that would leave a really tough scramble for par. Once we get past this cluster of trees, though, this hole really opens up. And you have a couple of choices here in terms of which angle you would want to attack the basket from. This course is like a lot of these short recreational 9-hole courses in this area. There are a couple of really good holes and then a lot of holes that are kind of unremarkable, but this is one of my favorite holes. Fifth hole is a short but interesting hole. It is the only hole to play on the west side of the tennis courts that you see behind the basket here. That's a bug crawling across the camera. The basket is located directly behind this row of trees, and so you have to pick an opening in the row of trees and then aim for it and hit that opening. Sixth hole, and we're back on the east side of the tennis courts now, so you have to walk around the tennis courts twice, once each direction. This hole is moderately downhill, and there's one tree you have to deal with, the one that we just walked under there. So you have to either go with a low throw under the tree or a sweeping right to left throw to the right of the tree. There's also a sharp drop off behind the basket here, so you don't really want to miss long. That'll make your putting more interesting. Hole number 7 continues the downhill glide of the previous hole. It's the tightest hole on this course. The fairway stays in this tight little wooded area here. That's the 6th basket you see over to the right. And the 8th fairway is just off to the left. So you have 3 holes that are really tightly grouped together here. There are a couple of routing issues on this course. This is one of them, and the tennis courts that I showed you before is another one. Coming up to the basket here, it's a nice hole. It's just a really tight hole, and it feels like it's really wedged in between 2 other holes. Hole number 8 plays back up the hill. And it's probably best to think of this hole as a dogleg left because the 7th fairway is literally 10 feet to your left right there. Now the basket here on number 8 is behind one of these trees that's coming up. And I actually got a little bit confused and started walking the wrong direction. That's the reason for the gap right there, the break that we just had. There's the 8th basket. So you need a good and well thought out tee shot in order to have a birdie opportunity on this hole. 9th and final hole on this course. It's uphill through a very open area. There are just a couple of trees here near the line between the tee and the basket, and honestly, it's a pretty boring hole. I do want to thank you for watching this video. Parking full-time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. Also, I take no monetary compensation for anything I produce for this project, and therefore the only thing I get for doing this are your likes, your subscribes, your comments, and your views, and I appreciate all of those things. This is a short recreational course with a couple of good holes, and it's worth coming here if you happen to be in the area. That is the end of the course. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.